Business buying banter meets no BS reality. Get ready to dive into the world of buying and selling businesses without the fluff and fancy jargon. Whether you're a seasoned business buying pro or a curious aspiring entrepreneur, this is where the real talk happens. Because in business, there's no room for sugarcoating. Let's get down to the brass tacks.
There you are.
Hello.
Good day, good day. Hello, hello. How are you?
I love the accent.
How are you? Yeah.
You know what's
That's
funny?
the end of it.
I've been watching Welcome to Wrexham on
Welcome to Rectum?
Wrexham. It's a document.
I thought you said rectum.
You had the accent there of some of the Welsh.
The Welsh? Okay.
Yeah.
How is that? What is it? Like a Netflix show?
It's a documentary. Two Hollywood actors here in the States acquired this bottom of the league. They call it football, but to me it's soccer.
Right.
In the UK and the Welsh, they bought this team. I just finished season 1. It is so freaking good. I love anything to do with sports, Richard, because it's so competitive. And I love underdog stories when the underdog starts to climb out of the hole and
Right.
on the way they go. So, yeah. One thing I learned in the UK, they say the F word a lot.
Yeah, we do too, except we're trying to be a little more careful about it. But yeah, they do. It's great. And the well, you know, my wife's from Australia, so there's certainly enough cursing going on there, but there's a beautiful lack of political correctness. Like if you watch some of the comedians from Jim Jeffries or guys like, I mean, they are so out of control in a wonderful way.
Yes. Yeah, it is funny. So I'm enjoying that show. If you ever get a chance to watch it, it's a great turnaround story. So season 2, we just started. They just renewed season 4. I can't like the players on social media because if I do, then I'm going to know what's going on. So
right. That's right. You don't want to be the spoiler. You don't want the spoilers.
I don't want the spoilers.
Yeah.
But so in essence, they bought a business. If you think about it,
They certainly did. Yeah, good for them. And there are 2 Americans, but bought a UK-based business. And actually, all those sports businesses, especially in the UK, like a lot of the football businesses, it's like you said, soccer here, owned by, I think, Tom Brady owns some of them. I think the Glazers that own the New England Patriots, they own one. The Red Sox owners own football team. They're very profitable because they don't not necessarily make a lot of money, but the value, the assets, it's crazy. It's sort of in reverse, but the valuations go up immeasurably.
Well, think about it too. This is an underdog team, and now it's growing in popularity. People from all over the world are traveling to see this team.
Oh, really?
But just like with all small businesses, Richard, and these are big businesses, obviously, but there are they call it the race course, but it's the field. The turf in year 1 was new in the season, the documentary, and they spent all this money on it, and it didn't work. The company that put it in, for whatever reason, it didn't stick. So for all you small business owners out there, sometimes when there's new equipment with the business and you acquire it, things can go wrong with that equipment.
Oh, absolutely. I always like to use the phrase that Mike Tyson, has, which, people have a plan, they go into buy a business and whatever. He says, everybody has a plan until somebody punches them in the face. And, you go into a business, you think this is going to be the case. You're going to do this, that, and the other thing, or what have you. And you get, issues are thrown at you nonstop. And that's, which is actually great related to today's topic, because if you're looking for stability and certainty and unicorns and pixie dust, better off keep your job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And even there, you've got some risk as well. But, at least a paycheck is coming in until further notice.
until further notice, right? Until it's not.
I have to tell you, too, our laundromat advisor, Mark Sordos, I think that I pronounced his last name right. On
Very smart guy.
Yes. He had a post this week regarding buying laundromats, how you don't have to manage people because you're managing machines.
Yeah.
I asked him, do you ever put a machine on a pip?
Yeah, you are managing machines, but yet, there was a fellow by the name of Art Hamill or Arthur Hamill. He went by Art. I know him as Art. Um, he was probably the most prolific business buyer in America. He's passed away a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
He bought over 200 businesses. Was an amazing man, and him and I struck up a wonderful relationship. He actually bought my course, and I saw one day in the list of people, Art Hamill, like, called up. I said, "Is this the Art Hamill?" And it was. And we struck up a really nice relationship. I said, "You bought 200 businesses. I can't believe you're buying our course." He said, "Well, I think it's phenomenal." He said, "I got rid of my due diligence checklist. I use yours." He said, "And I never know enough." So I thought that was great.
That's
But
awesome.
very early on in the conversation, we're talking about different business types, and he preferred manufacturing businesses because he'd say machines are much more reliable than people.
At least they showed up for the day, and
Yeah,
they're
much
there.
more reliable. He said, "You
Yeah.
don't have to deal with it. You just have to deal with the machine."
Oh, funny. Well, we are ready for today's episode, which is all about reasons. Well, we said 3, but we could probably think of 300 if we wanted to, maybe. Reasons not to buy a business. Gosh, Richard, there's sell side reasons, there's buy side reasons, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you put it into 2 different categories because when looking at a specific individual business, there could be reasons not to buy it. And we've talked about that, at length, because some of those businesses are just problematic. But I think from a standpoint of attitude or how you're approaching this philosophically,
Yeah.
there are some people that just shouldn't be buying a business.
Yeah.
And that transcends the financial piece. They just don't have the right attitude
Yes.
or mindset to be a business owner.
And you are spot on. And I think what we should touch on, and none of this is scripted, we're just flying by the seat of our pants.
As usual.
Yeah. But we should talk about the not so ordinary reasons of why you shouldn't buy a business. Can I start with one? And
You
it
could
drives
start
me.
with 12. You could start with 12. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'll go first, and then you give one, but we'll talk about each one. It seems to me today a lot of, and I hate this word just as much as you do, searchers. And listen,
Bleh.
I feel sorry for business brokers out there. I mean, I can't believe I said that. Yes, I do appreciate business brokers, but they're getting inundated with business buyers that or searchers. They call themselves searchers that are attracted to the business and they want to buy it. They shouldn't be buying a business if they're just attracted to the profits or the SDE. Because I get those calls all the time. "Hey, Deb, I want to buy this business because it has this much SDE." Okay. All right, great. You think we're just going to finance it because it's got that much SDE? How do you match the seller that's selling and what he's doing today? Let's talk about that before we talk about the profits.
I had the exact same thing last week. I got a call from someone who is very well-known business school graduate, involved in their search for about 4 months, 5 months. Somehow they connected to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to have these conversations, set up a phone call with them. And one of the things they said to me was, there's 2 schools of thought. They're telling me, they've never bought a business. I've been doing this for 3 decades, but they're telling me there's 2 schools of thought related to buying a business. The one school of thought is you should buy it strictly from an economic standpoint, looking solely at the financials. And the second point is you look at the fundamentals of the business or whatever. I said, if you think that category A is a platform, is a plan under which you should buy a business solely for the financials, I'm going to give you the best advice anybody's going to ever give you in your career. Go get a job on Wall Street.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay. I said, because you will send me a thank you note. You'll send me a thank you note specifically if you buy a business and you buy it solely the financials and you're not the right match. And when you go out of business and then you go and work for someone else, then you'll send me the thank you note because you realize put you on the right path. It's insanity. It makes no sense. It's like saying, I'm going to buy a car just because that one has 4 wheels. But you brought up about searchers and brokers. Brokers are much wiser now. When you send an inquiry to a business broker and say, I'm a searcher, the first thing they ask you, are you a funded search?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not a funded search, you know what? With all due respect, You're just a business buyer like everybody else. Okay, but
Oh,
there. Oh, hold on.
sorry
is
about
is that your husband?
that. No, that's Maggie May, my
Oh,
chocolate.
Maggie May, Rod Stewart, Maggie May.
Yeah, Maggie
that's
May, my
that's
chocolate lab.
Yeah, it's great. They're beautiful. The
Thank you.
Yeah, so the searchers, I mean, they stole this term from Stanford and funded searchers. They're not searchers, they're business buyers, and get you. And the worst thing you could tell, first of all, if you tell a seller you're searching, they have no idea what the hell you're talking about. If you tell a business broker, they want to know if you're funded. I hate that term. I won't even let people during our webinars call themselves searchers. You got to call yourself finders. You're either a business buyer, you're an operator, or you're an investor. It's just a
Yeah.
stupid term.
Yeah. I think I'm glad how you mentioned investors. I saw a post yesterday of a buyer trying to get feedback from everybody. He said, how do I get the brokers to take me serious? He doesn't have proof of any cash liquidity. He has no proof of funds, but he claims he has an investor that will go in on the deal with him. And so when he's calling listing brokers, he says, I have an investor. And they're like, bullshit.
I'm calling bullshit. Yeah, well, the way to do it is get your investor to write a letter. Could be a benign letter. Say, if writing on behalf of so and so, yes, I'm prepared to finance the business up into X amount or whatever, as long as it meets the criteria. Don't take this letter as a guarantee of financing. However, if the business meets the criteria we've agreed upon, I'm going to move forward with as an investor. And you use that because I just don't understand this mentality that they believe and I'm so empathetic to business buyers. That's why I do and try to help them. But this mentality of thinking that the world is waiting for you, like the whole world is waiting for you, Mr. or Mrs. Searcher, because you went to Wharton and you have no money, no operational experience, no investors, no capital. You think that the world is waiting to sell you a business? Like what the? Just they're smoking crack. It's crazy.
And all of that is a sage, solid reason why you should not buy a business. One of the top reasons, right?
Well, if you don't know what the hell you're doing, right? I mean, if you're not prepared, if there's the critically important piece, which is making sure you have the skill set to buy a business to match to the seller, as you alluded to earlier. That's critically important. But if you don't bring any of that expertise to the table, let alone have no expertise to go through the process of buying it, but even if you somehow manage that, if you don't have a skill set to operate the business, do you think that they taught you how to run a business in business school? Because I think as it relates to the skills you learn about business operations, the skills that the skills that are required to operate a business day to day, roll up your sleeves, get your fingernails dirty. The reason why they call it business school related to that are the first two initials, which is BS, because it has no relationship to running a business. What they don't teach you at business school is specifically what you need to operate a business. So go get operational experience.
Thank you. It's
mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling. And I think a lot of this has stemmed from just the last few years of social media influence.
Yeah. I agree.
It's growing and everybody wants a piece of something that they think everyone else is out there getting. And I'm not
they think it's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people, there certainly are skills that people acquire during other jobs that would lend themselves well to running a business. And it can be someone who graduated from business school and has some work experience, or it's a more simple business to run and they could learn part of it, but you have to match your skill set. But it's this concept that with none of those skills, that you're just going to jump into someone else's business that's successful and transition that to you well. If you don't have any of those matching skills, it's delusional thinking.
That's right. So what's another reason? What's a top one that's not so common that people just assume? What's another reason?
Well, I think when you talk about from attitude, I think people have to be the mindset. They have to be those that can embrace uncertainty.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You have to be able to deal with uncertainty. Nothing goes according to plan. Or not everything goes according to plan. And there are issues that come up, and they can be issues related to the business, with the equipment, with the employees, with the suppliers, with the customers. And there's lots of times where there's a high level of uncertainty, and you have to be able to embrace that and work through it and understand that that's part of entrepreneurship, and being able to pivot and knowing when to quit. Knowing, when I say quit, not quit the business, a project's not working, but knowing when to go on to the next one. Forget about your sunk costs. It's over, move on. Just don't keep doing something because you've invested a lot of time or effort into it. So this whole idea of embracing uncertainty is really, really important.
I think of corporate employees. If you're a corporate employee and you have ever been put on a performance improvement plan, a PIP,
Yeah.
how did it make you feel? And did you climb your ass out of it?
Yeah.
Because
I thought when you were talking about PIPs earlier, I thought you were talking about Gladys Knight and the PIPs.
yeah. But if you're that individual who sunk when you were put on a PIP and you couldn't climb yourself out of it, you're going to be putting yourself on a lot of PIPs as a small business owner.
Absolutely. And you have people that are relying on you.
Yes.
Employees, suppliers, your family, potentially, as far as the income contribution. It's a whole different PIP.
It's a PIP on steroids.
It's a PIP on steroids. It's a PIP plus. And so, being able to perform on it. Now, don't paint this overly negative picture. I could give you 1,000 reasons why you should buy a business, but the attitude or philosophical lens on things, people need to understand on certain things. For example, realizing this confusion that they think it's going to be easier than a job. It's not going to be easier than a job. It's going to be a lot harder. The goal is to build the business in such a way that it ultimately becomes a lot easier than a job. And unlike a job, you have no limit on your upside potential when you own a business, and you can empower other people and employees and build value. So there's lots of wonderful reasons. But this idea that it's easier than a job is not the case. It's tough work.
Yeah, but Richard, all the influencers are saying it's passive income and it's absentee owned and it's easy. Why are you saying all this when they're saying all that?
Well, I'll be very polite about it because they don't know what they're talking about.
There you go.
And I'll line up 100 people who bought an absentee run business. Mm-hmm. As long as the ones that they prescribe, because they're not of size, like laundromats or the like, and I'll show you 80 people to 99 that are miserable.
There we go. And that's the no BS we're talking about with this show.
No BS there over there.
That's right. Yeah. It just frustrates me. It's like, come on, people, wake up. Wake up.
It's ridiculous. Well, Mark, you were talking to with the laundromats. I think I saw on LinkedIn, I saw a picture of him standing on a laundry machine, reaching up, changing a light bulb, and it's sort of saying, like, if you think absentee run businesses, like, here he is, it was probably a Sunday afternoon and he's working in the place. That's certainly not. Now, you can turn a business or evolve it into less hands-on, not necessarily absentee, but that doesn't happen overnight. I mean, you've got to get in and learn the business and understand how it operates, because if you have to hire people, or people quit, or there's decisions you have to make. So you could potentially evolve a business into an absentee run business, but you can't start off a business in an absentee position, because even if it's fully managed and you have terrific people in place and you have a great general manager and the owner saying to you, here's the value of the business, we have a manager in place, she's been there for 22 years and she'll take over, and you have the meetings and everything is wonderful, wants to stay, and she does all these functions and it's a complicated job and everything's great, and you buy the business and you go in on Monday, and Tuesday afternoon she gets hit by a Pepsi truck and she's gone. And then what do? You don't even know. You don't even know how to make the coffee. You don't know anything about it. So you have to learn the business, and then you can evolve into that and work less. And those businesses become very attractive, but you got to learn it first.
That's right. I'm thinking in my head about other reasons why not to buy a business. And I would say that what is often overlooked is ensuring you have working capital.
Hello.
After you buy the business.
Yeah.
And where's it coming from? I mean, stock purchases can hold some of that working capital in the business deposit for you. Great. Let's figure that out. Walk us through. Asset purchase, not so much. Where's your working capital coming from? And listen, banks will provide working capital, but I did a post the other day this week about, it's called Some Lenders. And
Yeah, I read that. It was great.
yeah, some lenders will give you sufficient working capital and the underwriter will work with you, the buyer, working through, what do we need? What does it look like? Other lenders don't have a clue and they'll just guess and we'll give them 50 grand for working capital and they just throw it in a loan.
Yeah.
Some don't even give working capital. There are banks that don't. They expect you, the buyer, to have it. Are you having that conversation? And if you're not, and you're not even thinking working capital, you shouldn't be buying a business.
Correct. Oh, absolutely agreed. And the businesses often decline a little bit after someone new takes over.
Mhm.
That's why this whole concept of, you see pitched out there of buying distressed businesses for no money or whatever. Well, that's great. You get into the business on Monday morning, you're gonna have to write a check on Monday afternoon because there's a reason why it's distress and losing money. So yes, working capital. I'm uber conservative when I buy a business. I anticipate a decline. Not anticipate is a wrong word. I calculate a decline of 25% in the revenue for the first 3 months.
Okay.
That's why I want to make sure that I'm going to have enough money to pay all the fixed costs in that event.
Yeah.
Now, it's a drastic number. I'm not saying I anticipate a decline because it's just making sure that I have adequate resources in the event of that. So it gives you a nice cushion. Because if you don't, here's what happens if you don't have adequate working capital. You're going to be out of business before you're in business.
That's right.
Because make no mistake, you can guarantee, despite, I don't care if a business has been around for 100 years and has all this historical data about seasonality, what have you, along comes COVID. Okay, or something crazy like that. So you need to have, now that's extraordinary, but you need to have adequate levels of working capital, however it's provided. Although we're seeing more and more, even in asset sales, of these, net working capital being left in the business. But that's tougher to impossible to negotiate in a small business acquisition.
I'm going to go back to welcome to Wrexham, the soccer, football team. Remember I said their field, when the two Hollywood acquired the business, the field that they acquired, that they were told it was brand new, it failed. They had to put cash.
A lot.
In year one, a lot of cash to fix the field, because if they didn't fix the field, there was no business.
Yeah. And I guarantee you one thing, when they bought the business, their thinking was, well, the good thing is the field is new, so we don't have to worry about that for a while.
Boom.
So it's never, when you buy a business, it's never the things that you think about that are going to go sour, that come to bite you in the dupa. It's the ones you don't think about. So you do your best. But, that's a perfect example, because that's something that that was probably something that was a huge selling point from the owner of the business. Well, the good news is you got a great new field.
Right? Yeah. And it was all
sorry.
The players were injuring themselves. It was falling apart. It's like, and listen, those American Hollywood stars, they learned how to say the F word a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. What is the show again? Welcome to Wrexham.
Welcome to Wrexham.
REXEM.
REXHEM or
HAM. Wrexham.
Yeah.
REXHM. Okay. And it's definitely not welcome to Rectum. That part I understand.
No, it could be. It could be if the team doesn't do well in the next few seasons. I love how sports franchises, that they're a business. They're a business too.
Indeed. Yeah, and there is a massive business side to them. I'm a huge hockey fan. The Stanley Cup finals are over, but they talk about a lot of the players now. Their contracts end. July 1st starts the new year in the National Hockey League, and they're players move around and what have you, and they'll all talk about how some of them who were with the winning Stanley Cup team and would love to stay, they all tell you, well, we understand this is a business. It's a business side, because if the business is not run effectively, they can't pay the salaries, big salaries of their players. And there is a massive business size. It's actually very interesting, the operations of a sports business, because most people just tend to think about the spectacle, right? The actual event, but there's so much that goes on behind it. It's a big machine. It really is very interesting.
Good beer sales. There's a lot of margin in that beer.
Especially when you go to the games, it's ridiculous, right? Down here in Florida, like I remember going and I'm originally from Canada, so they always have, like when a Canadian team comes in, they always have one stand selling Canadian beer. And I remember, like, it was a number of years ago, like a Molson Canadian, a good size one, it was like $11. This is like years ago, and I'm going like, You think they're making a few dollars on that? Jeez.
You know, I was a key employee when I sang in a cover band because I was
You had the
lead
voice?
and I had the beer in my hand, and in the microphone I'd have to say, raise them up high, and tip your bartenders. And I had to make sure it really didn't matter if I had a voice or not. It was all about the beer sales.
The beer, absolutely. They wanted the beer sales. That's right. There's a business behind it.
You know it.
Yeah.
So we gave 2. Is that right?
Oh, we gave more, I think.
More?
We talk about thinking it's easier than a job. We talk about working capital. We talk about embrace uncertainty, absentee run businesses, skill set. The other thing I was thinking about, there's a broker I talked to a number of years ago, prolific broker, probably sells more businesses than anyone in America. His name is Russell Cohn, terrific guy. And I had asked him, I said, why do, in your opinion, for those who buy a business and fail, what would you say is the single biggest reason why they fail? And he said, they don't realize that they have to become a salesperson.
Yeah.
You're selling something. You buy a business, you're selling. It doesn't matter if it's a tire shop, a dry cleaner, or a big manufacturing company. You have to be selling as the owner, even if it's not. Now, the flip side of it is, I tell people not to really get concerned about that from the understanding standpoint. As the owner of the business, you're going to know the product, the margins, what goes into it, the process, the procedures better than anybody else in the business. And so by default, that learning and knowledge will make you a terrific salesperson, but you have to be selling. You have to be a salesperson. And so I thought that was very interesting, because he said that to him, that was the biggest reason why people, of those who fail, who buy a business, because the numbers are pretty low, but he said that's the single biggest reason.
You're not only selling to the customer, you're selling to the vendors, you're selling to the employees, you're selling to the landlord for negotiations. I mean, you're constantly selling.
And nothing happens till somebody sells something.
That's right. Well, we are getting close to the 30-minute mark. Tell us about your webinars. What's slated? What's coming up, sir?
We have one on Saturday, actually. Saturday, June 29th. We're doing one on Saturday because a lot of people, it's tough during the day. And this is part 3 of our due diligence series. There's going to be, I think it's part 3, might be part 4 of our due diligence series. There'll be 5 in total. We're covering all the 11 categories. So it's a 2-hour webinar. We do about an hour and 15 minutes of education, really good education about the buying process. We've got 10 2-hour webinars posted on our YouTube channel, and then we open it up to a Q&A.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's a good community of individuals looking to acquire businesses, and they all have the common mindset that they want to be educated. So we get a reasonable turnout. It varies week to week. We do them every couple of weeks. Then we do separate ones strictly for our clients. These are open to anybody.
Nice.
So this one will be on due diligence, which is a critically important step in the buying process. So they go to richardparker.com. We always post the next webinar information. They could register from there.
You got it. I love mentioning that in my posts on LinkedIn for aspiring buyers to check out your webinars, because no question is too big or too small, and we learn from everybody's questions.
It's actually a great part of it. These closed sessions that we do with our clients who follow our program, when we have those Q&As, those are really good, because there's people asking questions like, I didn't even think about that. And it's very open, and talk about deals and what have you. So yes, you learn from other people's questions and good answers.
We sure do. All right. Well, that's it, Richard. We are at the half-hour mark. We are?
Okay, I'll put on my glasses. I see what time it is. Oh, look at that. Yes, the half-hour mark. Okay.
I hope you enjoy your trip to Green Bay, Wisconsin.
I'm looking forward to it. I've never been there, so I'm looking forward to it and doing a little bit of work. And I was trying to fly in and out of Milwaukee, as I told you, because I would have liked to come visit you, but I'm in and out in in 24 hours, actually.
It's all right. I told you we'll save that trip so I can come see you in Florida in the middle of January.
You've got plenty of room whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, thank you for all you do supporting the buying community with all of your knowledge. And until next time, we'll see everybody in a couple of weeks.
Right back at you, Deb.
All right.
Go with God. Ciao for now.
Go
with God.